Hello, my name is Hannah. My name is not Theo, even though I know most of you think that my name is Theo, that's okay. My name is Hannah, and I am going to give you a little bit of unsolicited advice about acrylic painting. I get asked a lot about what type of paint I use, and I think first of all that it's important to use good quality paint. One of the most frequently asked questions I get is how do you get your paint to go on flat, and how do you get your paint to go on opaquely? Opaque being the opposite of transparent. So how do you get your colors to be nice and flat and even? And there are a couple of tricks to that, and I'm going to show you how I do it. I am not an expert, and a lot of people, I'm sure, have very good ideas. So this is what I do. These are all my secrets. Come take my job. Let's talk a little bit about paint quality. So there are a lot of different brands of paint. What I choose to use is Liquitex soft body acrylic paint. Liquitex soft body paint does a lot for you in terms of being the right viscosity. And viscosity is the consistency, and the consistency is what makes it go on flat or go on with texture. Some people really like texture in their paint. I really hate texture in my paint, so I choose paint that goes down super flat and super even. Liquitex is great because you can find it almost anywhere. It's pretty affordable. They have a bazillion colors, so I've used this for a long time, and yeah, so this is my number one. My second favorite paint is this. This is Holbein. I hope I'm saying that right. One of the things that I really like about using Holbein paint is that it tends to stay opaque with warm colors. If you've been painting with acrylic very long, then you know yellows and oranges tend to be very see-through and also not very powerful. So if you mix them with anything, a lot of the time they wind up being really gray or really runny, or they just don't hold their color very well. So I choose this brand for a lot of my reds, oranges, and yellows, and sometimes having a big tube of a bright red or a bright yellow, even if it's a little bit more expensive, can save you some time and energy in the long run. So there are a lot of different options in terms of what you mix with your paint. Some paint you just want to use right out of the tube, which you can do. Well, there are things that you can mix with your paint to help them dry more slowly, or dry more quickly, or dry more stiffly. I personally do not use medium with my acrylic paint. I use a tiny bit of water, but the biggest trick is to work your paint. So after you mix in whatever you mix, or nothing, you need to squish it around a lot more than you think you do. So before I just take this red and squeeze it right onto my panel, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to work the paint. I choose to use just a tiny little bit of water. So just a little, dab your brush, make sure your brush is wet, and then we're going to start mixing it up. If your paint is too thin, you'll be able to see through to your palette. You can see it kind of shrink on there. This is too thin. If your paint is too wet, it'll go on too transparent. So we'll add a little bit more paint. We're just gonna try to get this to the point where it's like a barely melted butter. So what you can see me doing here, some people choose to mix with a palette knife. I choose to just use a brush. I'm gonna keep adding a little bit of paint, maybe a little bit of water, until I get to the point where this feels very smooth and thin and even. Before I apply, I am going to wipe my brush. This gives you a fresh start. And then a little bit of paint on both sides. And then we're going to apply it directly to the panel. Not caked, not jammed up into the brush, just a little bit on it. And then when we apply, very smooth and slow and very flat. Another thing that'll help or hurt the smoothness of your paint is the surface that you use. A lot of people choose to paint on canvas or on canvas boards, which is totally fine. I personally prefer that paint goes on even more smoothly than that. Canvas texture makes me crazy, so I paint on flat pieces of wood, and occasionally masonite if I'm doing a study or something a little bit lighter, but using high quality wood panels is something that is important to me in my own art practice, but you can use a lot of different things. This is an example of a wood panel. So this one is made by Trickel. I feel really strongly about their panels because I think that they're very well made. You can see even the edges, very smooth, very even. This is what I choose to use, but you can use almost any wood surface if you're trying to go for the hyper smooth thing. You can get sheets of masonite, sheets of wood. You could go to the hardware store and get scraps, but you have a lot of choices, and not all of them have to be canvas. But don't forget to wipe your brush. Wiping your brush before you actually apply the paint that you mixed to your canvas or to your wood panel or whatever it is that you're painting on is really, really important. Your color is mixed, your paint is buttery, and then you need a clean brush before you can load it back up with paint and actually get started. This has been unsolicited advice to help you get paint all over your hands and to hopefully help you be a little bit more confident next time you try to paint something yourself. This is how I do it. People do it a lot of different ways. People will probably argue that their way is the best. I am not going to argue that my way is the best. I don't know everything about painting. I guess listen anyway. This is my first time trying to make a video, so if this is confusing or bad, or if there's information that you're missing, leave a comment, tell me what you want. I don't know what you want. What do you want to do? What do you want me to do? It's a masterpiece. It's just amazing.